Good morning, Gills fans, and welcome back once again to Gills in the Blood TV. Today is the final instalment of my potential signing series. We have already gone through potential defensive recruitments that we could look at, and also midfielders. Today is the chance to have a look at forwards, attackers. We know that the retained list was published yesterday by the football club, and we've offered contracts to Cody McDonald, to Greg Cundall and to Josh Parker in that area. But regardless, I still think we're going to need at least a couple in, so I've come up with a handful that may be able to add to us. The first name I have found is Adam Campbell, only 22 years of age, released by Notts County of League Two. Obviously grew up at Newcastle as a youngster, didn't really work out there. Granted, he is very northern based, I understand that. He's had, short of going to the Shetland Islands, to be honest, he's had spells at probably the most northern clubs you could pick: Carlisle, St Mirren, Fleetwood, Hartlepool, as well as obviously, like I say, being on the Toon as a youngster. Didn't really work out there, didn't really work out on them loan spells either. Wasn't until he dropped into non-league 2014-15 and he went to Gateshead, again northern, yes I know, but he scored 4 goals in 10 games there. Done really well, and that earned him a move to Notts County, where he's been for the last 2 seasons. In 2015, 2016 and 2016-2017 he has scored 12 goals and provided 9 assists. So not prolific, you might say. Granted, I understand that, but he's only young, and we have also released a player that's only scored 12 goals, but I think the 9 assists could be key. Obviously still lots to learn, like I say, but at a good age, has had a good grounding, knows the Football League, so I think he might be worth a punt. So that is my first name, Adam Campbell. Second name on my list is George Obrien of Stoke City. He's been there as a kid, hasn't really got into the first team. 22 years of age now, the same as Adam Campbell that we've already looked at. Another one who's been on loan plenty of times. He's been to Barnsley and Oxford, Shrewsbury and Carlisle, so he's been around the country. Didn't score in his loan spell at Carlisle back end of last season, but he did only start twice in 10 games, but he did help them get in the playoffs, which unfortunately for them they've just lost out in. But yeah, he had a good spell at Barnsley in League One a couple of seasons ago, 2014-15. He'd done really well there, and scored 6 in 19 appearances. Not prolific, you might say, but again, he's only a kid, still learning the game. But in terms of what he's about, he's huge. He's an absolute giant. He comes in at well over 6 foot. He's big and stocky and powerful. And I think if we're to get the best out of someone like Cody McDonald or even Josh Parker, who are both shorter and more diminutive and want to run in behind and stretch defenders and play on the last defender, so to speak, then this lad could be an asset. He'd probably be able to play with his back to goal, hold up play, link play, and get others involved. So yeah, that's my second name. I think it'd be worth a shot. George Obrien. The third name on my list is Jonathan Obika, who is out of contract at Swindon Town. They've just been relegated to League Two, so there is a chance that he might not want to stay there and might want to start League One level. He's 26 years old now, has had a good grounding in terms of his upbringing. He was at Tottenham Hotspur as a youngster, didn't really make the breakthrough. He's been on loan a few times, but in recent seasons I think he's done pretty well, considering he's played in a struggling Swindon side for the last sort of 2 years. In 2015-16 played 35 times and scored 12 goals and also provided 4 assists. And last season just gone, they were relegated, I know, but 31 games, 6 goals and 3 assists. So not massively prolific, granted, but to be involved in 18 goals in 2 seasons, to score 18 goals in 2 seasons and then be involved in another 7, I don't think such a bad return for someone who may be available on a free transfer. He's got 53 career goals in total, and like I say, since he's gone to Swindon, where he's settled down a little bit, I think he's provided a sort of decent ratio, and he's averaging 1 in 3. So that would be the third name on my list that we could have a look at, Jonathan Obika. The fourth name, and perhaps a little bit of a hidden gem, someone who's slightly under the radar. Connor Nketiah, found him having a look through the list of, like I say, retained players and release lists from certain clubs. 24 years old, Everton youth product. He's been there for a few years now. He's had loan spells at Scunthorpe and Brentford, Cardiff, Charlton, Wigan and Oxford. So he's been around a bit, knows the game in terms of the Football League. Quite inexperienced, but 16 Football League goals in under 50 games, including 4 in 13 at Wigan when they won the League One title 2015-16. So he knows League One. And last season was very impressive. He scored 10 in 19 on loan at Oxford, as they had a sort of a push for the playoffs that never really materialised, but they were comfortably in mid-table after making the step up from League Two, and he's played a very big part in that. So yeah, so in the last 2 seasons, 16 goals and 5 assists from 49 appearances. Not massively built, looks like he'd want to run in behind. But yeah, a decent scoring ratio for one who's not yet reached their mid-20s. So that would be the last name on my list, and that is Everton striker Connor Nketiah. I did have another couple of names to suggest. You may notice I've only done 4. The 5th one was going to be Tom Hopper, who, according to most sort of transfer websites, the likes of Soccer Base and Transfer Market, it says that he's out of contract. But checking the Scunthorpe United website, it says that he's under contract beyond this summer, so I'm not really sure. Just a quick look at him. Obviously, this is the lad that was released by Leicester a couple of years ago after the Thailand racist video incident, we'll call it. But he's done all right at Scunthorpe. He's only been there 2 seasons and he's only 23. He's made over 70 appearances for them. Scored 14 goals and provided 11 assists, so that would be another one I would have looked at, but there seems to be a discrepancy as to whether he's under contract or not. Other 2 that I looked at was Cole Lafferty's been released by Norwich, but I think he's probably out of our price range. He might want to stay in the Championship. And Nicky Maynard, but his scoring ratio isn't all that, to be fair, and he's also gone 30 now, so not loads and loads of options, but I've given 4 that I think would be worth a look. Thank you for watching. As always, you know how to do the usual. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep retweeting, etc, etc, and until we speak again, up the Gills.